It was a freezing night when a black father opened his door to find a shivering young girl standing alone. No coat, no phone, just fear in her eyes. He didn't know her name, her story, or why she was there, but something told him turning her away wasn't an option. What he couldn't imagine was that this one act of kindness would uncover a truth far bigger than either of them, and a hidden world that wasn't ready to accept him. Who was she really? And why did helping her come at such a cost? Marcus Johnson had lived in the same modest neighborhood for nearly a decade. A single father, he balanced long hours at the auto repair shop with raising his teenage son. Life wasn't easy, but it was steady, predictable. He knew his neighbors, his streets, the sound of the old bus brakes outside his window. That night, the air was bitter, the kind that bites, through layers. Marcus was closing up for the day, ready for the quiet comfort of home. But as he turned onto his street, he noticed a faint silhouette at the far end of his driveway. A girl, small, thin, clutching herself against the cold. Something about her stillness unsettled him. She didn't look like she belonged here, not in this part of town, and definitely not at this hour. He glanced around, no car, no one else in sight. Marcus didn't know it yet, but opening his door to her would set off a chain of events that would test not just his compassion, but the very way the world judged him. Marcus led the girl inside, offering her a blanket and a place to sit while he made a pot of tea. She barely spoke, eyes darting toward the door as if expecting someone to burst in. He could see she was exhausted, her hands trembling, cheeks raw from the cold. But outside, the quiet wasn't as safe as it seemed. A neighbor across the street, Mr. Harris, stood on his porch, phone in hand, staring. Marcus tried to ignore it. He'd had that look directed at him before, suspicion disguised as concern. Within 15 minutes, the distant wail of sirens cut through the night. Marcus's stomach dropped. He stepped outside, the frigid air biting his skin, as two squad cars rolled to a stop in front of his house. Their lights painted the snow in jarring flashes of red and blue. "We got a call about a suspicious situation," one officer said, his tone flat but his gaze sharp. Marcus explained she'd been alone in the cold, he'd offered her shelter. The girl stayed silent, eyes wide, her voice locked behind fear. Instead of listening, the officer stepped closer, asking for ID, questioning why he had a young white girl in his home. Their voices carried an edge Marcus had heard too many times before, not curiosity, but accusation. The implication was clear. A black man's kindness was suddenly criminal. As he answered their questions, Marcus could feel the judgment in every glance from the growing crowd outside. More neighbors had stepped out, watching like it was a spectacle. The officers didn't leave. They asked if they could look around. Marcus knew he had rights, but in moments like this, rights didn't always matter. The girl shifted in her seat, tears welling. She whispered something Marcus couldn't hear, but the officer closest to her caught it and straightened. Whatever she said, it changed everything. The officers exchanged looks, their tone softening ever so slightly. But before Marcus could understand why, one of them reached for his radio and said, "We might have a bigger situation here." Marcus's pulse quickened. He had no idea that in the next few minutes, the truth about who she really was would blow the night wide open. The officer stepped back, speaking into his radio in a low, urgent tone. Moments later, a sleek black SUV screeched to a stop at the end of the block. Two men in tailored coats jumped out, their eyes scanning the scene with controlled panic. The taller one, his voice sharp, commanding, pushed past the officers. "Where is she?" he demanded. Marcus froze, unsure whether to step forward or step aside. The girl's face lit up, not with relief, but with a strange mix of dread and resignation. "Dad," she whispered. The man's gaze finally landed on Marcus, hard and cold. You, he said, like it was an accusation. Why is my daughter here? Before Marcus could answer, the assumptions started flying. The millionaire father didn't ask if she'd been safe, didn't thank him for helping. Instead, he questioned why she was in this neighborhood, in this house, with him. Marcus tried to explain, but his words were drowned out by the father's fury and the officer's clipped commands. The crowd outside murmured, their eyes darting between Marcus and the wealthy stranger, already deciding which story they believed. Every second felt like a trial without a judge, jury, or truth. Marcus could feel the weight of decades pressing down on him, not just his own experiences, but generations of suspicion and injustice. Finally, the girl stepped forward, her voice trembling. He saved me. You have no idea what I've been through tonight. The street went quiet. The father blinked. The officers stiffened. But whether her words would clear Marcus or make things worse was something he wouldn't know. Until the next moment unfolded. The father's anger softened only when the officers confirmed the girl's identity and heard her insist, again and again, that Marcus had protected her. Reluctantly, they stepped back. The SUV door opened and she climbed inside without looking back. Marcus stood on his porch, the cold wind cutting deeper than before. No one apologized. No one thanked him. The officers drove away. The millionaire's taillights disappeared into the dark. The street emptied, leaving only silence. Inside, Marcus sank into his chair, the tea long gone cold. He had done nothing but offer kindness, yet ended the night under suspicion, his dignity bruised by a system that still saw him as a threat before a man. Days later, a letter arrived. No return address, just a folded piece of paper. Inside was a simple message in the girl's handwriting. You saved me. I'm sorry they treated you that way. And tucked inside, a bus ticket to anywhere. He kept the note, not for the ticket, but as proof that even in a world quick to judge, the truth still matters, if only to those willing to see it. This wasn't just one night in Marcus's life. It was a mirror held up to a society that decides innocence or guilt before it knows the facts. How many more fathers, sons, brothers have to live this story before it's no longer just the way things are? And maybe the harder question is, when it happens again, will anyone be brave enough to open their door?